Hello, this is Neil from masteredit.net and ipaintgirls.com. Both links to my websites are in the description of this video. At masteredit.net, I have tons of free writing tutorials. Some of them are written and some of them are in video format like this one. I'm doing an entire course or series on how to write screenplays. I've done formatting and style so far, and now I'm moving on to plotting. These are the three most important aspects of screenwriting. Formatting and style are important, but they're easy to learn. Whereas plotting is just as important, but it's very difficult to learn. In fact, I think plotting is probably the most important thing. How to write a story according to Hollywood standards is probably the most important thing because it's what's going to really sell. Having a high concept, for example, is what's going to really sell your story, and then following that by a strong story following Hollywood standards, what they expect to see as they read through it. And if you don't hit those plot points that we're going to be going through in this guide, it's very likely they'll just put it down and go, well, neat concept, but you're just not hitting it for us. So you decrease your chances by not following the Hollywood standards. Once you have written a successful screenplay and sold something, then think about breaking the standards and write something that you really want to write. But at first, go ahead and let yourself be limited by these sort of rules, if you will, but still using your creativity. Any creative person can follow rules and still write something that is following their creativeness. It's not like you can't write something that you enjoy writing just because there's a few rules you have to follow. If you're a fighter and you enjoy fighting, if someone said, hey, look, in our tournament, you can't punch to the face. You can only punch to the body. It doesn't mean you're not going to still have fun. It just means you have to slightly change your strategy and how you fight, but you can still have fun if you enjoy fighting. Right, so as we continue on then, what I'll be going through in this plot guide is I'll first explain what each one of these words mean, what everything on this guide means, what the page 1 through 10 means, what these little lines mean, how it all should be read and used, and apply it to a modern movie like The Matrix. And then I'll go through it after we understand it. I'll go through it and I'll create a screenplay from scratch with you. I haven't done this yet. I haven't gone through the brainstorming process for this screenplay, so I really have no idea what kind of story it's going to turn out to be. But I do have a couple high concepts in place, and I have sort of a log line, so I have sort of an idea what the screenplay is going to be. But I haven't gone through this plotting guide yet to develop the actual story, and that's what I'm going to do with you live after we understand what all this means. So the first thing we need is a high concept because that's what sells in Hollywood, high concept. You really want to have a high concept. It's hard to sell a movie without a high concept. The Warrior is a great movie. In fact, I think The Warrior is the most powerful film I've ever seen. But at first I didn't want to watch it because there really wasn't no high concept geared at me. There really wasn't nothing that drew me in with the trailer except for the fact that it had UFC and I like UFC. But other than that, I'm like, another action film. I don't really care. But it was the reviews it got, what people were saying about it that got me to watch it. But it does sort of have a high concept, and it never really totally, if it would have really stressed that point, it probably would have got me to watch it right away. And that is two brothers have to fight each other in order to win a prize only one of them can walk away from. That's sort of a high concept, but it's not really. A high concept is an idea for a story that's so cool that everyone thinks, why didn't I think of that first? And one high concept is in Minority Report. In a world where they can see the future and they can see a crime before you commit it. They can see the crime you're going to commit before you commit it. In a world where they arrest you for a crime before you commit it, an officer has to prove his innocence of a crime that he has not yet committed. That's a high concept. That's really cool. Another one is In Time. A world in which everyone has a time stamp on their wrist and the time clock is clicking down and when it runs out you die. And so in order to add time to your time clock, you have to work. That's the currency of that world. So that's the high concept of the world itself. That's the universe in which the story is taking place in. They really should have added another. This is the weakness of that film. They didn't take the time to really think of another high concept they can mix with that. Another cool thing they can mix with it. When you take two concepts and mix them together, you can have a really cool story. And they didn't really do that with that film, and so I think it kind of lacked its power because of that. It was really just, hey, there's a cool concept. Let's throw a generic story behind it. That is, guy is gonna die, and he needs to live because he has something he wants to live for. There's something he wants to prove, or whatever. Maybe it's revenge, whatever. And they just plug it in there, and it's like, okay, cool. That's our second concept. It's really just not a concept at all. It's just some generic thing. All right, so different ways to brainstorm concepts, high concepts, would be to think of a movie like Minority Report and go, what if it was a romance? And this has actually been done already. And that is in a future where they know who your lover is, who you're most compatible with, you know, like your soulmate, so to speak. They know your soul, they know who your soulmate is before you meet them. And there's been a film done on that, and perhaps they got that idea by doing that very brainstorming. They thought of different movies and go, what if it was this kind of genre? And maybe they came across Minority Report and they thought, what if this was a romance? That'd be interesting, wouldn't it? Um, you know, Time, uh, damn it, In Time is sort of a romance, you know, romance thriller. What if In Time was a horror? What if Minority Report was a horror? What kind of movie might it be? What if we take another concept and mesh it with Minority Report and made it a horror? What kind of movie would it be? You need to think of another high concept though to mix with it. Um, you know, what if a serial killer can travel through time? What if, you know, take for example the time traveler's wife. So now you have romance that has to deal with time travel. That's kind of a cool high concept. I actually came up with a high concept for that, for time traveling. That is, what if a younger female falls in love with an older man who is running a secret experiment that then accidentally transports her to the past, where he is now younger than she is. And so it's kind of hard I'd really have to like narrow it down and make it a really crisp one sentence. But basically, it's she falls in love. She's a younger woman who falls in love with an older man, and that itself, you know, is cool. You know, lives for a neat romance. But then she's transported back in time, where she then falls in love with his younger self, now falling in love with someone younger than her. And so now, you know, he's getting her perspective of what it's like to be younger, fall in love with an older man, but now she knows what it's like to be older, fall in love with a younger person. And then after she falls in love with him, the younger self, she is pulled back to the future against her will, but sees him for totally who he is, his past self and his present self, and then is able to like truly love him and deal with the fact, because she was having a hard time dealing with the age difference, and now the age difference thing she understands. And so that's kind of a high concept to deal with. So those are some different ideas and how you can come up with high concepts. And I'm going to share with you the high concept I had a couple years ago, and then a high concept I had recently that I'm meshing with that high concept to make it more fleshed out. And this will be the high concept we're using as we go through and develop a screenplay live throughout the series. This will be the high concept being used, and then I'll develop into a log line, and then we'll plug it through and after we understand what all this means and develop it into an actual screenplay. I hope I have enough time to do this. So basically the high concept is a small town where everyone knows everyone and everyone is witches. That in itself kind of seems like a high concept, sort of, but not really. It's just like a world setting, right? So a young girl grows up in the big city, and she's always been weird, and she's always had these abilities and never really understood them, and doesn't quite really understand what they are yet, but she's just starting to get a grip on it. Then she's forced to move to the small town where everyone knows everyone, and everyone's very secretive. And she is a very curious person and she starts seeing these little things and starts telling her parents about it, but her parents are ignoring it. And so she starts investigating on her own, trying to figure out what's going on. And she finds out they're witches and gets sucked into the witchcraft, and you know, and starts to kind of like the small town that she originally hated, wanted to go back to the big city and stuff. But the high concept is that she gets sucked into a world where everyone knows everyone, everyone's witches, but the secret they're hiding is that everyone is interrelated. Everyone there commits incest. Everyone is related to everyone. And the reason why everyone's related to everyone is because this is the conspiracy behind why they're hiding it, why they're so secretive. There's a couple of reasons. One is because they're the last surviving bloodline of witches. They use their witchcraft to um, get their sway in the world, like maybe get their sway in Hollywood, get their sway in different colleges, get their sway in different ways, different types of maybe legal places, maybe stock markets, things like this. So they use their witchcraft in order to make money in different ways. And maybe she wants to be an actress, for example, and they have their sway in Hollywood, and they promise her all these riches and success as an actress, you know, if she just follows her witch path. She finds out that she is related to them, that she is part of the incest thing, and then they won't let her. And then that grosses her out, and she ends up falling in love with the boy that's there. These are just little things, little concepts that I had thrown together over the years, And so she falls in love with one of the boys there and finds out that he's her brother or maybe her cousin or something that totally grosses her out. And now she wants to leave and expose them for their crimes that they commit because they use their witchcraft in a criminal way. And she wants to expose that, but at the same time she's going to be giving up this great thing they're going to give her. And I don't think it's going to be that she wants to be an actress, because that just seems so cliche and stupid and not creative. I want to give her something interesting that makes her interesting, something that she wants that makes her interesting, that they can give her based, because they have their pull in the world with their powers. But for now, just to make it solid, for it doesn't sound so general, I'm going to say she wants to be an actress, for example, and they have their pull in Hollywood. Now she has to give up her dreams of being an actress by turning them in. So that's a big choice she has to make. It's like a fork in the road. Do I just ignore the fact that they're incest and commit some crimes, to get their way in the world and make money and become an actress like I've always wanted to be, or do I turn them in and not become an actress? Another fork in the road, a prime example would be there's a train barreling down the road and the main character can pull the switch or not pull the switch. If they pull the switch, the train kills their mother. If they don't pull the switch, the train kills a bunch of children that are strangers to them. Hard decision to make. What do you do? Do you pull the switch and kill your mother, or do you not pull the switch and let it kill a bunch of children and let your mother live? Some people might try to logically figure that one out. Well, if I let the children live, because there's more of them and they're young, they can live fulfilled lives, and there's a chance that one of them might find the cure for cancer or AIDS or something. One of them might do great things. Or my mother, if she wasn't doing anything great, would have probably already done it by now. But these kids have all this opportunity to do great things. That'd be a logical way to look at it. Emotional way would be, well, they're children, I don't want them to die, but my mother's my mother, I love her, I can't let her die. Anyway, it's a hard decision to make. So giving your character that kind of hard decision to make, at least once in the film, makes it a great film. And there's some place in the film you want that to happen. It'd be better if it happens like twice. Good places to happen are like here, here, and here. We'll go through what all that means though later. Right, so that was the main high concept I came up with, is that a girl from the big city with special abilities goes into a small town, everyone knows everyone, and uncovers a mystery that everyone is related to everyone, and that she happens to be related to them, and that they're all witches. Kind of cool, but I needed more. I felt like I needed more motivation for them to keep their secret. I mean, it does seem like enough. They keep their secret because they're committing crimes with their witchcraft. They keep it in the family because they're the last remaining bloodline of witches, and if they mate with anyone else, it diminishes their power. So to keep their power heightened and strong so that they can keep their empire, they're like, kind of, it's not like a mafia or anything, but to keep rich and powerful, they use their witchcraft. In order for the witchcraft to keep them rich and powerful, it has to be strong. If they start mating with non-witches, then they diminish that power and diminish their overall success and stuff in the world. But then I had this other concept, and I might even use this other concept and mesh it with another concept and make another screenplay. But the other concept I thought of is, what if, and actually I wrote a novel based on this one concept, but mixed with other concepts, and that is, what if ancestral memories were passed down through genetics? What if there was a family that had unique genes that allowed family memories to pass down? That's kind of cool. Another one I had is, what if the family genetics allows traits to be passed down? And I got this idea because when my grandma died, my mother kind of seemed to pick up on some of her traits. And I thought, well, what if that can apply to like real traits, like art, being an artist? What if, you're an okay artist and your grandma's an excellent artist and she dies and that trait passes on to you and you become a better artist? And what if your brother dies and he's also an artist, and when he dies, you become even a better artist? And so the more people that die around you, the more power you have, because you're gaining all their traits, whether it be strength or speed or intelligence. You become more intelligent, you become stronger, become faster as your family is dying around you, because you're enveloping their traits. And so I thought that would work really good with this screenplay. So that gives them more motivation. So now they also keep it in the family, because as each member dies, the other members that are closest to that member inherit their traits. Then I thought, well, what if one of them is a bad guy? And it starts killing off the family members, and that adds an extra mystery to, like a subplot within the screenplay. And maybe it turns out to be your boyfriend or something that she starts falling for. Anyway, the person gets more and more powerful, and at the end, the movie turns to a thriller. So it starts out as a mystery with a little bit of romance, splash romance, but then it turns into a thriller once she finds out that who they are and wants to reveal them, and makes that hard decision to give up her dreams in order to do the right thing and turn them in. And she has to use her new profound abilities that they helped train her, they helped her develop in order to stop them and get out alive. All right, so that ends this particular part. And so that's the high concept we'll be working with. And next we'll come up with a log line, and I'll show how to write log lines and what consists of a log line, and then we'll go through what all this stuff means on this page. Thank you for watching. Please comment and rate.